Hey y'all, hi. So today I went shopping at Violet Grey, which is an online retailer, a very compelling online retailer that carries a carefully curated selection of luxury makeup and skincare and other beauty products. This isn't my first run-in with Violet Grey. I've actually done a couple of videos in the past where I purchased a handful of things from Violet Grey to review, but in this video, that's not what I did. I put shopping in quotation marks because what I did today was I went to Violet Grey. I just let myself kind of roam free in the makeup section of the website, adding things to my cart that I really felt compelled by, like clicking through and being like, oh, I have that feeling, that old familiar feeling, like I really want to buy it and try it. So I filled up my cart to the tune of over $250. And then instead of checking out, I went to my makeup, my really lovely edited, but for me, robust makeup collection. And I found makeup that I felt could serve me just as well as the makeup that I had put in my cart at Violet Grey. Then I put it all on my face. And in this video, I'm going to talk you through what I wanted to buy but didn't and what I used instead. If this is your first time to my channel, then welcome. I'm so glad you're here. This is a classic HLP video. My channel is a beauty channel and I do review new stuff from time to time. I love it when I can help someone discover something that works really well for them because I love beauty and I take a lot of pleasure in that part of my job. But I don't want to do that to the point of exhaustively promoting overspending on stuff. So I try to keep a balance. I'm just as happy when I can help someone decide not to spend, and especially happy when I can help someone decide not to overspend. Exercises like this, like the one through which I'm taking myself today, I think can really help with that. If you like this, I hope you'll subscribe. And now let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. So classic, right out the gate, I was scrolling on Violet Grey and I found myself clicking on the listing for the WESTMAN Atelier Vital Skincare Complexion Drops. This isn't a new product. It always catches me when I see it listed somewhere, in spite of the fact that I don't think the lightest shade from WESTMAN Atelier, which is Atelier N, it's like a light neutral, that's actually a shade extension for them. They didn't used to have a neutral lightest shade and they added it like later in the game. But I've swatched Atelier N in the foundation stick, and I don't think that it works for me. I don't think it is neutral enough or light enough for me. So there's that, but also I don't like skin tints. I don't like liquidy, serum-y skin serum foundation products. I don't like this kind of thing. I have absolutely every reason not to buy it. I even have every reason not to want to buy it. And yet I want to buy it. It's because of the allure of WESTMAN Atelier, the beautiful imagery and the packaging and the promise, even though I know that the reality behind that promise is a thing that I don't enjoy. There's still a part of me that wants to buy into it because it would be so exciting if I did enjoy it. It would be such a perfect fit. I know that's not logical, but I feel that way. I'm just admitting part of this video is like going down the path of those feelings. Because before I really stood back and looked at my shopping habits and got a handle on my spending and my behaviors and decided to change them, I'd fall victim to this. I would buy stuff even though I really did know consciously that I wasn't going to actually like it. I bought into the fantasy anyway. So when it came to finding something in my collection that would serve in the stead of this product, isn't actually straightforward because I don't like serum-based products or semi-sheer things, skin tints. I don't have the Ilia skin tint or anything that's like a comp for this that's on the market because I don't get along with them. I've tested them in the past, like the Fenty one, even like the Lisa Eldridge one is kind of consistency-wise, like along these same lines. And even that, I didn't get along well with it. So I just don't have anything because I don't keep makeup that I don't enjoy. So I had to mix my own. And here's what I did. I mixed the Haus Labs Triclone Foundation with Natasha Denona Skin Glass and the Rose Ink Concealer for pigment. It ended up pretty serum-y, maybe not like a liquidy water that would drip down the hand, but definitely more on the serum-y side, the thinner side than most of the things that I usually use for base. I spread it out and rubbed it in a bunch of thin layers. I think I probably ended up with a little bit more coverage than a product like this WESTMAN Atelier would give me because the Rose Ink Concealer is so high coverage. But that works better for me. That was what I wanted. I was trying to put myself together. I was trying to look polished and get like a clean skin look. So I needed that. I needed that coverage. And even on top of that, I had to do a little bit of spot concealing because it was such a thinned out version of this product. product. And you know, the Rose Ink Concealer, the lightest shade, it's a really great match for me. Pale, neutral, desaturated. So what I ended up mixing suited me way better. Like I mixed the perfect thing. And that's a great reminder that it would be a total shot in the dark to get something like this WESTMAN Atelier product. It doesn't make sense to take that shot when I can mix the perfect version of it at home with what I have. I'll have been, I think, dropping in the footage of myself applying this makeup. I applied it in a Patreon video, so I was like talking the entire time, talking to my patrons, and that's where I'm gonna be pulling the footage from. So if you see me like waving my hands around and holding forth, that's why I'm doing that in the B-roll footage. And I'll leave the link to my Patreon account down below. It's kind of a casual situation. You can join for as little as $1 a month, and it's sort of just like pay what you want to support the channel and get a bonus video here and there. And it is usually me like behind the scenes talking about stuff, casually holding forth. It's a party. I hope you'll come. So the next product that caught my eye on Violet Grey is this Victoria Beckham bronzer, the matte bronzing brick. The shade that would be my shade 01, it just looks so creamy and inviting. The way that they photograph these products on Violet Grey, it's just stunning. It's like little works of art. It makes the products all that much more alluring. I know that I don't particularly like bronzer. I've had a mixed experience with the Victoria Beckham. I mean, some of the products are absolute rock stars for me, but like, I don't know what I was thinking wanting to put a matte bronzing brick into my cart. It's just not the kind of thing that I depend on for my makeup. But I took one look at the picture and I was like, I want it, I need it. Like I just was letting that makeup goblin run the show. Here's the thing. I have this Kevyn Aucoin Neo Highlighter is what it's called. This is so old. It is years old and it's just holding up beautifully. I mean, it's powder product and very finely milled, high quality, just lasting forever. I think at this point they've repackaged this. It's like this huge pan, and this is the second one I've had. As it wears down, it starts to become quite fragile. That's what happened to my first one. It eventually just cracked and all broke up. And it also used to be incredibly expensive. I think it was like close to $60. I mean, that's how much the Victoria Beckham one costs, $58. I think that this used to be that. If you buy it now, the Kevyn Aucoin Neo Highlighter, it's in a smaller container, like half this size, and it costs half as much. And I just think that's a much better decision. But if you go looking for this, it won't look quite like this. It's the 3 Kevyn Aucoin highlight, like candlelit glow shades in an ombre. And again, it's supposed to be a highlighter, but it's this lovely toasty and rosy shade combination that I can make work really well for me for bronzer and powder. This is the product I usually use to make my neck just a little bit deeper so that it's not too contrasty with my skin. If my skin still has a little redness in it, I'll use like the rosy center. This is one of my most used, oldest, most iconic makeup products. I absolutely love how it works. And I just know that if I had the Victoria Beckham bronzer here and I was given the choice on any given day, I would use this one instead. So I used it today to remind myself of that. And again, I'm usually using it just to bronze up my neck a little bit, but today I put it on my cheeks. I like really gave myself the warmth. I used a big fluffy bronzing brush. This Refer 22 brush, which is the dupe for the iconic old Tom Ford bronzer brush. And by the time I was done with that, the very idea of the Victoria Beckham bronzer was a bit absurd to me, partly because I love the one that I was using, but also because I don't use it in that capacity very often. I don't usually bronze up my cheeks like that, even though I have something that works better than the Fantasy. Speaking of the Fantasy, these Chanel blushes, the little powder blushes that are like these little round dots, the way that they're photographed on Violet Grey makes them look really pale. When I first saw this, my heart leapt into my throat and I was like, these blushes look perfect for me. It's just sort of this desaturated, again, barely there. All 3 of them, Rose Bronze, In Love, Rose Petal. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, has Chanel released a little blush range just for me? And then I Googled them and I looked at other imagery of them and other listings on other websites like Nordstrom's, and it's like, no, they're just completely washed out in this Violet Grey photography for some reason. So that was a real letdown. And just in case I needed any more of a reason not to want to buy one of them, I pulled out my Pat McGrath Divine blush in Flirtatious, which I bought for myself last year. And I think the color, just in the pan, the color looks like what I was imagining one of these Chanel blushes would be. Almost like it has a hint of gray, you know? So it's definitely the closest I can come in my own collection. So I layered that on top of the bronzer. And I actually, today, my patrons will already know this, but I struggled with it a little bit. And maybe it was because I was layering it on the of bronzer. But I also was kind of feeling like the paleness and the gray tinge in the pan is a little bit misleading. And in fact, this is like a really, really pigmented blush, has a little bit of sheen in it. And if I'm not careful and I don't just do like a really, really light sweep, it tends to build up and get that kind of metallic layer. I had such high hopes for this, and I've wanted it to be my perfect blush for so long. Since before I bought it and then after I bought it, kept wanting it. I think I haven't really allowed myself to acknowledge that it's a little bit testy for me and just doesn't have that watercolory, washy ease of use that I wish that it did. But you know, if I had one of these Chanel blushes, that would be the case as well. It would be exactly that. Because again, I think they're much darker in person than they look in these pictures. So I really worked at it, buffed it out, buffed it into the bronzer, buffed it into my cheeks, and eventually got a nice kind of natural feeling sheen of color. And I like the way that the color blended with the bronzer underneath. But I don't know, I'm gonna have to give a little bit more thought to Flirtatious, take it a little bit more seriously in the coming months, getting to know the technique I need to use with it better, and maybe also seeing if it might be squirming towards the chopping block, which is something that I really hate to admit. I just really love that sunken into the skin, really, really part of the cheek, stainy, watercolory flush that I find easier to get with cream blush. I always end up going back to super easy to use cream blushes like the Chantecaille Cheek Gelée. It absolutely never lets me down and would never give that kind of built up effect that I was resisting today. All the more reason not to want to buy a Chanel powder blush, right? Right. So scrolling for a lipstick on Violet Grey, I always get sucked in by the Rouge makeup. So Rouge is a clothing brand and the makeup just used to also be called Rouge, but I think that they've rebranded it as Les Filles en Rouge. So this product, Les STYLO, has been on the market for a while. And for some reason today, I just couldn't look away. A slim, long-lasting lipstick with a rounded edge that hugs the contours of the lips for easy application and comfortable wear. And in these saturated, compelling, and slightly off the beaten path colors, and the way they're described is also very compelling. Classic red, fig red. I'm sold on a fig red. And brownish red, which was ultimately the one that I chose to put in my cart. So when I was trying to decide which of my lipsticks would be the best comp for Marie, the brownish red from Les Filles en Rouge, I grabbed two of them, Merit L'Avenue and Lisa Eldridge Velvet Sorcery. And when I swatched them out, I was surprised to see that they're actually pretty similar to each other. It's just that Velvet Sorcery has a more opaque matte finish. And you know, the Merit lipsticks, as we know, have that lovely, slightly chapsticky lipstick quality. So I checked the description of the Les Filles en Rouge Les STYLO, and it says it's a full pigment lip color with a sophisticated, soft, matte, slightly powdery texture. So that's definitely more like Velvet Sorcery than it is like L'Avenue. So I ended up going with Velvet Sorcery, and I really did the most. I've been so into a strong, overlined, bold lip and a light eye look lately. And I haven't really worn Velvet Sorcery like this since I reviewed it. Or since I was testing it for review, I guess. I wore it a couple days. But today, since I filmed that Patreon video, I've really been wearing it. And I'm enjoying it. It's vampy on me, you know, but I'm here for it. And why would I want this Violet Grey lipstick when I have the Lisa Eldridge version? So special, so sought after. Who could ask for anything more? Like, who would ask for just another version of this in a slightly different formula and slightly different packaging? Not me. So lastly, my eye was caught by this super weird looking mascara from SURRATT Beauty that's being sold as a lash tint, the Noir Lash Tint. And it took me a while, a little bit of digging to decide whether it's a mascara or just like a black serum that tints your lashes. What it says is a long-lasting tint that defines, lengthens, and thickens lashes in one super precise stroke. So in other words, a mascara. And then, yeah, in the description it says that the unique brush allows you to coat every single lash because it's just a stick with like these grooves in it. And then it's like the smooth, intense formula creates the look of fuller, longer lashes. So again, a mascara. For precise definition, sweep on one coat. For increased density, use 2 coats. For extreme volume, use 3 or more coats to build. Like, just a mascara. So it's just a mascara with a really weird brush. SURRATT Beauty, the aesthetics are just kind of on point, and there's always something like this, and it always makes me want it. So as a makeup reviewer, I was looking at this and I was like, I kind of want to get this and just see what the deal is. But I think that even before I was a makeup reviewer, back when I was a consumer, I often made unwise purchases for that exact reason. I would see something weird like this and I would be like, I just need to see what the deal is. Didn't you get it? Maybe it's amazing. Maybe it's never before seen, you know? The reason it would be unwise in this case is that I have a mascara going right now that I really, really love. I just don't need another mascara. So I use Make Beauty Lash Prototype, which has been my go-to mascara for a couple of months now. It just gets better absolutely every time I use it. I love it for this kind of look where I don't have any eye makeup on, and I've only just started using it that way in the past couple of days because for months now I've been wearing eye makeup every time I do my makeup. So it feels like it's sort of new again right now. I'm like rediscovering it because I'm seeing how it works when I use it just on its own, and it's very exciting. That feeling of excitement and rediscovery and connection with my existing favorite mascara, like the makeup that I have, really helped turn down the dial on that frenzy of curiosity about the SURRATT Beauty Noir Lash Tint. So by the time I had on the whole face, which I like. Again, I'm into this like lip forward situation right now. But by the time I was done with it, the slightly vampy kind of 90s look, I was happy to just X out my stupid violet gray cart and take back my $250. Digging into what you already have and what you already love, in my experience, is a tried and true method for overcoming that urge to buy. In fact, I sometimes feel like when I'm scrolling and putting things in my cart and working up a desire to spend a bunch of money on stuff, in those moments I kind of forget, like I sort of conveniently forget about my existing stuff. There's like this blank spot in my brain. I kind of trick myself into thinking I don't have anything, or I just erase temporarily from my brain the abundance that is already there. So making myself go back to it, touch it, hold it, use it, it is always the medicine. And I hope that you enjoyed going through the process with me today. Thank you so much for spending this time. Thanks for subscribing if you're new and you've decided to do that. Thank you all of you who are subscribed and who are always commenting and liking my videos. You're the best. And I hope that all of you are remembering to take extra good care of yourselves so that you can be the most effective versions of yourselves as you do your work in the world.